The ISA-1 Digital, the classic Focusrite mic pre, and simultaneous DI. Now with class-leading stereo ADC as standard.
I'm here on the SSL stand with Jim Motley to talk about the Nucleus, which is a new front-end, back-end controller come all things to all men, really, isn't it, Jim?
Well, possibly so, Hugh, but perhaps not to all men. Nucleus is the centre of the in-the-box heavy producers world. It's a control surface, it's a sound card, it's mic pre's, it's a monitor section, and it's lots of other nice bits on top of that. It takes from the technology we developed in the AWS 900 and then went further within the Matrix, and we've gone a little bit further with some of the control elements with this in the Nucleus as well.
Okay.
So as a control surface, 16 faders, transport controls, big chunky things. You can see that it responds really quickly. All of the control happens over Ethernet, whereas the sound card works over USB.
Okay.
And keeping the two of them separate means that we have a lot more bandwidth for the control side. It has the same hotkeys as we have in the Matrix. So currently my displays are showing me the track name and the pan that I have in my Logic session,
right.
Or this could be my aux sends or any of the other parameters. By pressing one of the two user buttons that we have on the top of the console, it converts this display to be hotkeys.
Right.
And we can assign the buttons on the top can either be a single key or they can be a menu, and the buttons on the bottom can be single keys. So with two layers, there are actually 128 keystrokes or DAW commands we can program onto the surface, just in this section. We've gone a little bit extra with Nucleus, having learned some of the things from Matrix and what customers like there. Mm-hmm. And in Logic, there are actually some custom layers in the Mackie control section. And I've mapped some key commands to those. And you'll notice on the front of Nucleus that we have an EQ button and a dynamics button. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that in my Logic session, I've got one of our native channel strips running on every channel.
Okay.
I've mapped it so that when I press EQ, I access one of the custom layers in Logic, and these buttons suddenly become my frequency and gains for the four main bands of the SSL Duende native plugin.
Nice.
I hit the dynamics button, and these now become the controls for my Duende native compressor. And this will work on whichever channel I have selected. Now, we all talk about being a sound engineer, but all too often we're looking at a plugin and we're engineering with our eyes. This means I can turn knobs and listen till it sounds right, so we can be a lot more creative. SSL has a philosophy of what we call being format agnostic. It's not our role to tell you as an engineer what software we should use, what hardware you should use, what configuration you should have. Mm-hmm. It's our job as a manufacturer to make the stuff that you need for your workflow.
Yep.
So at the moment I have Logic, and as I bring up my mixer here, you can see I touch the faders, they move, I touch the pan pots, they move, I can load plugins. But so many people work with more than one piece of software now. So I'm going to quickly flip the screen, bring up my Pro Tools session, I hit DAW2, and now my faders are responding to Pro Tools. And so I can play my Pro Tools session and pick up my faders or my pan pots. Then when I've done that, I can flip it back to Logic, and I'm working again. Nucleus can control 3 different DAWs simultaneously. And you know, whether that's Reason being rewired into Pro Tools, or Ableton Live and Logic, or maybe that you work with some sound things with Logic and then you work for video with Final Cut Pro, or Soundtrack Pro for video. Nucleus can talk to all of them. But as I mentioned at the top, it's not just a control surface. We have 2 K-series SSL mic pre's, the same as you find in the Duality or the X-Rack. And these have phantom power, pad, 2 different impedances for microphones, and an automatic switch over to 1 megaohm when you plug in an instrument to the back of it.
Okay, nice.
A high-pass filter, a phase invert, and an insert point, in case you have other outboards you want to integrate. The mic pre's can actually act standalone, and they have analog outs on the back of them, or they can go into the built-in USB sound card that we have. Mm-hmm. But underneath that, we have this little button here called mix down mode. And if, let's say you have an analog bus compressor that you work in the box, and what you want to do is put your mix through the bus compressor. If you do that with a sound card, there's no way of actually monitoring what the compressor's doing. So by pressing mix down, I switch the insert points. Instead of being in the mic pre circuit, they go into a loop with the USB sound card.
Okay.
So after the DA, the insert point comes up and you put your bus compressor in. We have real analog monitoring, so you can hear what it's doing, and then it injects it back in through the AD to the USB sound card, and you can print it as a stereo track in your DAW.
Handy.
Kind of nice little trick. There's other little things about Nucleus as well that are nice. It has a 4-port USB hub on the back of it. Now that might sound like it's really dull, but when was the last time you looked at your MacBook with 4 dongles hanging out the side and just thinking they're going to break and I'm going to have an expensive iLock disaster coming up? So that's a nice thing. There's an optical SPDIF connector on the back of it, which will access the 3rd and 4th channels on the sound card.
Right.
Now this means I can integrate it directly with other audio interfaces, or if you come round to my house, you can just plug the output of your MacBook directly into this.
Sure.
I can record it into my computer, or we can bring it up in the monitor section.
Okay.
But the thing that really makes Nucleus a complete solution is it gives you the processing in the box as well. We've announced that Duende will be going native, and anyone who owns a Duende hardware unit will get a free cross-grade to the native plugins.
Okay.
However, we include the channel strip and the bus compressor with Nucleus. So you can have the SSL sound in your box, you can use the SSL sound to get into your box, and you can use an SSL surface to control your box. One of my favourite things about this, and also the Matrix, is the fact that the scroll wheel can be assigned to a number of different functions. And when you're working on a big 80, 90 track session, going channel, channel, bank, bank, is A, tedious, and B, takes a lot of time. So the jog wheel I've got assigned to the tracks command in Logic, so I can spin through my session quickly, then pressing this button turns it back into a scrub wheel. So we hope that the kind of person who makes a lot of music, who works on 3 or 4 projects a day and needs quick turnaround, who has a compact but high-end setup, is going to look at this and fancy a bit of it, for want of a better phrase.
It's very nice. What about, is it shipping now?
It will be shipping on the 19th of November, so in 2 weeks' time.
Okay.
We do have a policy of not showing stuff unless it's ready to go. So Nucleus will be in the stores imminently.
Ready for Christmas?
Well, hopefully so. Let Santa know and he might bring something down your stocking.
I'll try that. What's the price for those that don't have a friendly Santa?
It's £3,000 plus tax, $5,000 for your American viewers.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jim. That looks really nice.
Thanks you. Cheers, guys.